Boa tarde a todos. Estamos aqui para mais um debate do 16º Fantaspoa. Estamos falando hoje com Arttu Haglund, que está lá desde a Finlândia, para falar sobre o filme Ausente, que está no Fantaspoa, presente no Darkflix até o dia 2 de agosto, e a sessão de debate estará disponível aqui no nosso canal do YouTube e no Facebook. Quem quiser assinar o canal, fique à vontade para receber lembretes sobre os próximos debates. So, Arttu, thank you so much for joining us and
Thank you
talk
for
a little
having me.
bit about Poisa.
Yes.
So, at first, where did you come up with this concept of the film? Because at the same time, you talk a little.
Yeah, actually, this was originally an idea by Avi Heikkinen, our screenwriter. And he was watching Inception exactly 10 years ago in 2010 when it was in the theaters, and Inception by Christopher Nolan. And there was this one scene in the film where there was this like Leonardo DiCaprio and Ellen Page were somewhere lying on a cold concrete floor, and then suddenly they move and they're in this vast ocean shore, and that was the first thing that led to this idea of a man teleporting from one place to another. And he told me that when he got the idea watching the film, he just ran off the movie theater and just started writing as soon as possible so that he doesn't lose the idea. And then he wrote a little script for actually a comic. And it was originally supposed to be a comic. And and he showed the script to me, and I said that actually this could be a film as well.
So in the beginning, since you created the project with, again, Avi,
Yes.
when Avi wrote it, did he teleported always to places that he didn't choose, or at any point? Because that's one of the things that I think it's more, not necessarily interesting, but peculiar about the film, because he can choose. And that's one of the things that I think is so unique about the film.
Yeah. There are actually a lot of things that are open to interpretation, and some people have been thinking about these teleportations. That what do they actually mean? Is it a concrete teleportation that he actually travels from one place to another? And certainly, if you look at how the other people in film react to it, it seems to be that. But also, I have had many audience members come talk to me and say that they think that it's about maybe alcoholism or a metaphor of something else entirely. So is it absolutely so? Is it all happening in his head? Is there some mental problem, or is it actually teleporting? So this is everything. We decided that we're not gonna give one simple explanation, because it's more interesting if we leave it up to interpretation.
So the idea is that, let's say, each viewer makes his own story.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think if I think any film that if it allows the viewer, the audience member, to have his or her or their own thoughts about the film, and there's room for own thoughts and thinking, it's the experience of watching the film will be better.
In that sense, yeah. No, I'm thinking on that, how that connects to Inception, it's quite strong, because both films, you can create, let's say, your own meaning of the story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that goes for any film that is good, because any good film, well, of course you can say that in Hollywood they like to make films like hamburgers, so everyone needs to have the same interpretation of everything, and everyone in the audience has to, when it's 17 minutes, everyone has to understand something and drop a tear from the left eye or whatever. So it has to be packaged, and they have all the screenings for the audience in beforehand and stuff like that to make it into a hamburger. Okay, it's not always like that, of course, and there's a lot of indie filmmaking in the US as well, but any good film, I think, does leave some room for the audience to think, and I like to do that as well.
How did you choose the main actor? Because he's such an integral. The three actors are very important for the film, but he's like the heart of the story. You couldn't make it without any of them, but he gives so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Panu Tuomikko is actually a very dear friend of mine, and we've been through a lot together, and he has kind of, he hasn't teleported by himself, but in his own life there are a lot of similarities in some ways to some things that are happening to the character in the film. So there were a lot of things going for the decision that Panu Tuomikko should be the main actor. Also, he was courageous enough to go on this journey with us, because we filmed for pretty much 3 years, and it took altogether 9 years to make this film. So it was a long journey, and not every actor would have stayed with us. So yeah,
I think that very few actors would. In that sense,
exactly.
That would be my next question. You just mentioned about the time, but how this time was spread throughout everything that you made in the film, throughout everything that you filmed?
Yeah, it was pretty much 3, so divided in 3 kind of sections, so that the first 3 years was that we spent planning and trying to get some funding for this film through the usual ways in Finland, and that didn't work out. So we at some point I just decided that we will never get to make this film if I just don't begin making it. And I didn't have much money. I had some savings. Altogether the budget of this film is 20,000 euros, which is like the normal budget for a Finnish film funded the usual ways in Finland is around 1.4 million euros. So it's like 1.5% of the normal budget in Finland.
Okay, less than 2%.
Huh? Excuse me?
Less than 2% for sure. Less than 2%.
Yes,
1.5.
Less than 2%. Yeah. So pretty much it was nothing. Well, salaries normally, of course, take most of the budget. So we didn't have to pay anyone, because everyone worked for free. This was the idea that we went through, and decided that if the film should ever produce any money, then everyone would be compensated. And so far it has produced pretty much €0. So, but it has been picked up on all major Finnish festivals and now internationally as well. So I'm altogether very happy about how it has all turned out.
That's nice. But okay, so once you've seen that you would have to self-fund with the amount of money that you were able to get together, how was the shooting itself? Because it's such a difficult film to shoot because you filmed in so many places, and that's not, let's say, that's not usual for no film at all, but that's way more unique for an independent film.
It's absolutely the first film in Finland that has been shot in 30 countries and 5 different continents. So yeah, not the easiest way to pull off independent film. Also, I didn't actually. The previous question was how was the time divided? I didn't get to that. Also, so the first 3 years was pretty much script writing and stuff like that, and trying to get the funding, which didn't happen, and then 3 years of filming, and then 3 years of post production, and that's comes to 9 years. So, but we kind of went back and forth, and since we had the only great resource that we had was time, so we used that because we didn't have any time, we didn't have any money, so we had time, so we used that and actually realized pretty late in the production we had already wrapped once, and then decided that there are problems with the first third of the film, and added the colleague, the film actually didn't have any stuff from the factory that the protagonist was working at originally. Only the scene where he gets fired. That was the only scene in the original script, and then we added all the stuff because it felt like the film, the protagonist is not contemplating enough or thinking about what is happening to me, and we had to have more of that. So even though we had shot stuff already, we went back and shot some more. So it wasn't so strict that we first did pre-production, then production, and then post-production. We went back and forth a bit.
Okay. And when you went to the countries, who did the traveling itself? There was some places that just the actor went, or always you went with him?
Yeah, we had 4 locations, 4 countries where the main actor was present. It was besides Finland. Yeah, besides Finland, it was the United States, actually, on 12 different states. He took the Route 66 and traveled all around the United States and captured pretty much all the material that he has shot there is shot by himself. So he.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, he set up the camera. I had given instructions and the camera and stuff like that, and then instructions what kind of stuff to get, and then he just drove around for 3 weeks and got all kinds of material, and then we went to Tenerife Island. It's kind of near Africa, but it's in the sea and belongs to Spain. Tenerife Island, and we went. It's a volcanic island, so there's a lot of different different places and different atmospheres, and we were able to use that for pretty many kinds of locations, and it's a very typical place for Finnish people to go on a holiday. So the flights were cheap, but normally any Finnish people go there just to have a vacation, and they're only on the hotel swimming pools. But if you go beyond that and start going around the island, there's a lot of stuff there and beautiful locations, and we just pretty much we spent a week there, and because we didn't have the budget to go there and location scout earlier, we had to do that while we were there with the actual filming group. So actually there was 7 days of filming, but actually probably we only shot for 3 days because lots of the time was just that we were driving around and finding places where it would be nice to shoot, and where it would be what would be those scenes that we actually need. But there was a lot of improvisation as well.
In that sense, the film to me, and I think that many of the viewers that were watching the film, both in Fantaspoa or in other festivals or when it will be released, it has a very interesting element of, just like you said, and that's interesting, the idea of letting opening to interpretation. If what's happening is real or whatever it's actually happening to this guy. But I think that one of the most interesting things is that there is a heavy drama that this is happening. The fact that he is absent, a drama.
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 Yeah. Okay.
Drama.
Yeah. Heavy drama.
Of being apart from his family, and I think this builds up in a very interesting, let's say, development, especially in the time where he tries, and this gets even interesting now because I haven't thought about the idea that you just mentioned about alcoholism or perhaps any other kind of abuse. In the part where he takes his wife with him.
Yeah.
So when you go through that route, now I'm rethinking the film in my mind, and it's very interesting because there is a moment where he takes his wife with him. So if this is not actually happening, so what is happening now to the couple?
That's a very good question, because if you follow that train of thought that it is metaphoric and it doesn't actually mean, then you have to come up with some kind of an explanation of what it actually means. If you, for example, if it's about alcoholism, what does it mean that is the wife trying drinking as well, or what?
That's what occurs in my mind right now. I was thinking, let's say, okay, so she's joining him. So I would like to ask you, how do you feel the idea of mixing genres? Because I think that it's quite interesting that you got a sci-fi element in the film, a fantasy element. Whatever this might be happening in his head, but for the audience, you are seeing. And at the same time, you have a very strong drama happening. And you can see that not only with, let's say, his daughter and his wife, but also his relationship with his father-in-law, which is very interesting and plays some part in the film.
Yeah. I absolutely love mixing genres. And it's really interesting because when I took the film to the distributor and they watched it for the first time, they said that it's not possible to create a marketing campaign for this film because it's too science fiction or fantasy for the people who like drama.
Correct.
But, but also it's the science fiction and fantasy element is too out there for the people who like drama. So it's like falling in between, and it's not possible to create a marketing campaign for that reason, because well, marketing is usually done in such you have to think about the genre so much. And well, I for example, the TV series Black Mirror is pretty much a similar thing. They're also mixing. They're having a very normal situation, and usually it's drama or comedy, and then they're bringing science fiction elements to it, and then let's see what happens. And that's pretty much what I like very much. And also the screenwriter Avi Heikkinen, we originally, the first thing that brought us together back in the 90s was the fact that we both loved the X-Files TV series, and we were pretty much fanatic about it. And of course, that's out there as well in that sense, but there are also a lot of drama in the X-Files, and some in some form or in some way, I think the X-Files is forever sticking with us. The idea that it's interesting to look at things, even if they're just there's a simple or a very heavy drama element in the film, but if there's something other than that, it probably can bring some science fiction elements or some fantasy element or something that's out of the ordinary, and when we bring that to the perhaps normal drama, otherwise it becomes something else, and that's interesting to me.
And you just mentioned the X-Files, and you mentioned how the idea came to Avi when he watched Inception. And I would like to know, what are your other influences to create this film? Are there any particular filmmakers or films that interest you?
Well, right now behind the screen, I have the poster of Mulholland Drive by David Lynch. And David Lynch is absolutely my favorite filmmaker of all time. And I'm not sure how much of that is seen in the film, but I would argue that there are some elements that I have, well, nothing concrete, but I think some of the moods and some of the emotions, and there's something I think that I have taken from David Lynch also, and put it through some filter, and some of it is probably in the film as well. That's I would say David Lynch is always my number one influence. That's a clear thing.
I think that some of the strangeness that we can see in the film, we can see like coming from Lynch, and this is quite interesting because for me, he's one of the best filmmakers as well for my life.
Sure. Yeah. Also, I'm not sure if you have heard of, if you know the pretty much a Finnish filmmaker, Aki Kaurismäki, who makes very he's pretty well known. Not many Finnish filmmakers are well known in other parts of the world, but he probably is. And his films are also very peculiar, and he creates a world of his own, and to me he's also one of my influences. I don't think that I am copying anything that he does, or Lynch, but still I believe some of that mentality is maybe or the idea of Finnish mentality that he uses in his films is an influence. I'm not sure how much it's in like in my film, but it's an influence. Yeah.
I just checked it here because I remember that Mika is his brother, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm sure that Mika Kaurismäki, yeah, he's probably more well known to you in Brazil. Yeah.
No, I think Aki is more well known, but I don't know if you know. But curiously, 15 years ago, Mika shot a film about Brazil.
Yeah, I know that. That's what I thought. That.
So that was a very interesting thing. Like, why is a Finnish filmmaker making a film about Brazilian music? And that was like, it's a very interesting film.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I understand he has spent quite some time in Brazil.
Quite some time in Brazil.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a wonder if Mika Kaurismäki would be the more well known over there because of that.
I think on the time I remember that he made a splash because he was released in the cinemas, which is very hard for a filmmaker from any, let's say, almost any country apart from the US right now doesn't have films released here. And in that sense, we just talked about your influences and how you create the film. How was for you, being a filmmaker, the step taking leaving short films and going to your first feature film?
That's a good question because in a way this began as a short film as well, because when we were trying to get funding for this film, we were telling everyone that it would be kind of like 30 minutes or something like that. And even though we were certain that it would be at least 1 hour, which is kind of a stupid length for a production because it's so hard to get that duration anywhere because all the festivals actually 30 minutes would have been too long as well. It's like it should be 15 minutes or less, or then a feature film
above 75.
Pretty much, above 75. So when we pushed forward, we decided that it needs to be a feature film because it's an idea that we want to. The protagonist is going through a lot, and we want to show that, and it takes some time. So it was definitely a longer film. But to answer your question, actually the idea that I had no idea when we were beginning this journey that ended up lasting 9 years that it would last so long. I was thinking that it would be 2 years maximum.
2 years
probably. Yeah, 3 years maximum, and it was a big learning process all the way. So pretty much everybody in the crew were making their first feature film. So
that's cool.
So
let's say it was a learning shared process.
Yeah, absolutely. And because we proceeded like one step at a time, and we found when it was in the post-production, we realized that we need some more filming, and then we did that. So it helped us realize this longer production, and if we had found the funding, it could have been that the film would have been much worse, I think. So now looking back at it, I think it was a blessing that we didn't get the funding. Also because if you think about the 1.4, 1.5 million euros that the normal budget for a Finnish film is, I don't think it if you pay people salaries according to all the union standards and stuff like that, we wouldn't have been able to create such a massive production in a way. So it kind of sounds silly, but the fact that we didn't have money enabled us to realize this project in a larger scale.
No, I really connects to that because we produce films as well, and what we see is that we've never worked with no budget closer to let's say 1 million. But let's say what we realize is that when we are working, let's say with our own budget or with a very indie budget, we can pretty much do whatever we want. We have a liberty, and you can work the way that you really want.
Absolutely, that's the best thing. Absolutely, that this enabled us to do as well, because we didn't have any financier or any other producer or other power that would have forced us to bad decisions. So we managed to do our own bad decisions.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Arttu, do you want to say something else for the Brazilian audience?
Well, if you haven't seen this film already, I encourage you to do it, because it's on this Darkflix over there right now, and you probably won't get to see it in other places, or in you won't get it in Brazil otherwise. So now is your chance to see this film. If teleportation and weird Finnish humor, there's some humor in the film as well, and a dramatic setting like this excites you, so feel free to check it out.
Perfect. Thank you so much for the chat. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, and have a good one.